The members that were leading that delegation, which is a gentleman named Peter Hines and Joanne Grehan, one of whom was a passenger, Ms. Grehan was the passenger in the vehicle, have put out a statement that all of you, if you haven't received it now, will receive momentarily. And it basically says exactly what I said. This was a group of people. There was a whole assembly of people. We were together immediately before this incident. We were together immediately after this happened. They don't appreciate, quite frankly, that their names and reputation are being dragged into what is really, I think, a pretty unwarranted and cheap political attack by Governor Kasich's operation. They were, when I first contacted them about this, they were incredulous. They could not believe that something so innocent and such a non-event could be construed in a way that would slander people's reputation and assassinate people's character. But that's the world we live in, and now they have to deal with it, unfortunately, just like I have to deal with it. Secondly, what you may not know is the way that the Republican Party has been intimately involved in trying to spread this kind of personal attack about me. I have heard that they were on some kind of expedition to get negative information about me for more than a year. And this is the best they came up with. This is what they've got. And this is what they're doing to try to avoid a discussion about the issues that really matter for working class families and for middle class people in Ohio. And unfortunately for them, they have left their fingerprints behind in the way that they tried to basically smear my reputation and spread this dirt. And I'll tell you how we know that. We learned that in May of this year, the Republican Governors Association was making public records requests in their own name to the City of Westlake and the City of Westlake Police Department. And so after learning this, we made our own public records request to the City of Westlake. And we got a series of, we not only got the information that they have put out, which basically states that a caller called in, a police officer responded and found that there was no cause for concern, no crime was being committed, and not even an offense that you could issue even a minor traffic citation for. But we also have a series of emails that go back between Republican Governors Association staffers and City of Westlake personnel. Now these emails start around May 20th, at least the ones we have received so far, and I'll get to that in a moment. But particularly noteworthy, these go back and forth towards the end of May, and then on June the 10th, there is an email that is going from a captain in the Westlake Police Department to the former chief of police of the City of Westlake. And in that email, what the former chief relates is that the mayor of Westlake, who is a very partisan Republican official, is specifically asking the police department and is, and I quote, looking for, quote, dirt that someone is looking for. Now, that period of time where the mayor of Westlake is revealed by these emails to be looking for dirt actually predates any of the official public records requests that have been filed in this case. Why is that important? Because you are not allowed in the state of Ohio to use city resources or any government resources for a personal or a political purpose. And the fact that there is significant evidence, as is contained in these emails, that the City of Westlake, on city time and using city resources and talking to city personnel, is looking for dirt about myself personally, about a traffic stop 2 years, almost 2 years previous, that didn't even result in a traffic citation, is pretty strong evidence that they were misusing city resources in their official position in order to gain some kind of political advantage for the Kasich administration. It's extremely serious. Now, after obtaining this information, we have consulted with attorneys. We do believe that this may be a violation of Ohio law, in particular the sections of Ohio law that prohibit what's called theft in office. That's any time you use public resources for private purposes, which this appears to be. Now, in order to get more information, it was over 2 weeks ago now that we filed additional public records requests with the city of Westlake, asking them for any other emails or telephone messages or text messages between Mayor Clough, other city of Westlake officials, Matt Borges, the chairman of the Ohio Republican Party, any individuals from, other individuals from the Ohio Republican Party, any staffers from the Republican Governors Association, John Kasich or any of his staff people. And we still have yet to receive any of that information. So we are going to compile that at some point when they eventually comply, and if we have to sue them in order to make sure that they comply with those public records requests, then we'll do that. And then after compiling that information, we'll ask for an opinion from the prosecutor's office about whether or not there's enough evidence to actually prosecute them for theft in office. Now, I don't know whether we'll get enough evidence, but what I do know as a certainty is that you had City of Westlake personnel looking for dirt on city time and bothering police officers about something that happened 2 years ago that didn't even rise to the level of a traffic ticket. And that is as sleazy as anything that I've seen in Ohio politics. Now, I wish I could tell you that they ended there, but they didn't. The Ohio Republican Party also hired a law firm to ask for police records for my personal residence in Lakewood, Ohio. And one of the things that they uncovered in that situation was a traffic ticket that my 17-year-old son had received because of a cracked windshield. So now they are collecting information about my minor children. And I will tell you that, and we put out a statement from my family, from my wife and I, that we understand that politics can be a dirty business, but we have a very strong family unit. We've been married for 23 years. We have 4 fantastic children. We're very solid as a family unit, and we will be no matter how this gets reported by the press, and we will be no matter what happens in this election. But the one time that my wife really got upset was when the Ohio Republican Party was literally getting police records about one of our minor children who hadn't really done anything wrong but was driving a car that had a cracked windshield. And she said, "Are there any lines that they will not cross?" And if there's one thing that this whole thing proves, it's the answer to that is no. There are not any lines that they will not cross. If they can use this kind of situation or any other rumor or innuendo, they're going to do it. They really like being in power, and they plan on holding on to it. And they're not going to let standards or fairness stand in their way. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to just sit here and take it. John Kasich authorized this, in my opinion. And if he didn't authorize it, he needs to come out and say that he doesn't condone this kind of thing. If he thinks it's acceptable to get into the gutter like this, he needs to come out and say that. How do I know that the Ohio Republican Party, I mentioned the Republican Governors Association, how do I know that the Ohio Republican Party also condones this and participates in it? Well, first of all, as we all know, Mr. Borges, who runs that organization, was the hand-picked choice by Governor Kasich to run that operation. And just days after these emails go back and forth in the city of Westlake, Mr. Borges decides it's a good idea on social media to make a comment to me directly, where he tells me, and I quote, that it's time for me to come clean with my family. For these guys to talk about my family is, again, it's the cheapest shot that I have ever seen. We have never talked about Governor Kasich's family, and I don't condone that, or his personal life, and we're not going to. We're going to win this election based on the issues that people care about. But this garbage that these guys are trying to pull is going to backfire on them. And I'm going to predict to you right now that when the history of this campaign is written, people are going to say that their true character and who they really are and what they're willing to do to stay into power was revealed on this day, because their fingerprints are all over this stuff. I want to turn it over to Jay McDonald.